Welcome to the Serious TV Drama Podcast, Survivor Edition. I'm Scott, the habitual host and ever-present mumbling menace. And joining me tonight, someone who could certainly never be considered one of the middle people, though based on what we all just watched, wouldn't you kind of want to be? Nah, it's Tiffany, of course. How we doing, Tiff?
Well, how are you?
I'm surviving. Maybe I should be on an island somewhere, except that my hand's all screwed up. But you know what? We should wait because there's more. Because we don't need a blood moon to shake things up on our little island adventure here. We only need to have one more person come aboard our shores. And he ain't no middle people. He ain't no little people for that matter. He's just good people. So let's welcome back to the STVD podcast. That would be a very different, that would be a very different production indeed. We're talking about Brian. How are we feeling tonight, Brian?
I am good, and let me tell you, folks, as the first guest, I ain't no goddamn Zach Brown. So here we go. We're going to do some Survivor. And Scott, just for you, I've prepared a beginning haiku in honor of this podcast, okay? Tiffany, Scott, me, talking Survivor 50. Let the games begin.
Oh, so touched. And it's funny also with the Zach Brown reference, because just to remind listeners, Brian is actually the person who created and composed our opening theme. So I got a chance to give you credit for that. Didn't take as many shots as it did with the Twilight Zone one, so that was a big yay on that one. And as far as excitement is concerned, I am excited to have both of you here because I said it had to happen eventually. And what better time than when we're going to be covering That's Not How I Play Survivor, the 7th episode of Survivor 50, In the Hands of the Fans. Actually, I think last week would have been better, but hell with that. That's a past is the future. And before I start composing my own hokey haiku, let's get into this week's Survivor shenanigans. And we start at Camp Manulevi. It's night 13. And you'd be forgiven if you're thinking after all that blood moon shed, man, you want to leave too. But yeah, I got away with that one. But instead, we're going to focus on Tiffany, not our Tiffany, not yet. The other one, the one who continues to finally rack up confessional time. Even as she's been telling the rest of the tribe she just wants to feel her feelings. But whoa, Nelly, she's furious as she yips and yells out during her confessional. And I kept thinking, did they make her do that like a mile away from camp or something? Because how are people not hearing her during her confessional, especially in the middle of the night? I kept thinking about that. I mean, I don't know if it occurred to anybody else, but I kept thinking. I'm gonna detour from what I have here. I'll say this: I was clearly not in the Tiffany camp from the very beginning of this season, and I'm not saying I'm still not present there. But I am enjoying them giving her all these confessionals, and she's laying out there. And I like straight talking people without the bullshit, which we have with a certain other player or two in this season, and we know we're going to be decimating that one later on. But like Tiffany, I mean, I think you, like me, were kind of, why is she here? Again, I'm still not sold on why she's on this season, but at least she's fucking bringing it with just the way she's acting and talking. I really enjoyed her on this. How are you feeling about her?
Again, I like Tiffany as a player on her season. I don't know why she was back on 50. I wouldn't have put her back on 50, but I did enjoy her this episode. I like that she was able to kind of temper her anger like right after, like she didn't just go off because that would have been off-putting and you can't really do that.
Right.
And she played it cool or what have you, and then just kind of laid into all their asses
Oh,
afterwards in the confessional. Like I love that.
it's funny that I think our expectation from last week was, oh, she's going back to camp and she's going to be ripping into Jonathan, because especially when, Camilla's last words to her is like, drag that man through the mud, whatever. And I got to say, and Brian, much like Tiffany, you've watched a lot of Survivor in a short amount of time, and we've seen any number of players, quite frankly, overreact directly after a vote, which more often than not does not help your case. Every once in a while, you can, if they're a strong enough player, they can get away with it, but usually it doesn't. I think her first smart move of this episode was what our Tiffany just said. Were you thinking the same way?
Well, I like this Tiffany a lot. Okay. I'm a big fan of hers. And I think one of the reasons they brought her back is when she smiles, she has the best damn smile on this cast. Like when she's happy, she is just great. She's also a gamer, as illustrated last week by her being the only one that picked up that the Blood Moon was something from one of the Link games from Zelda, the Zelda series. She's a smart gamer. She's a good social player, and I loved her bond with Camilla. And you know, Scott, I am a Camilla stan. I love Camilla, and being broken up hurts her game. And I was really worried about her going into this, but she did some navigating and let other people step into poo poo and did the dance to get out of trouble. And I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for her to build an alliance and start whacking these big dudes that run their mouth and are playing kind of messy themselves. So I love getting screen time. Like she was really good in the confessionals. And um, if you didn't like Coach, you loved Tiffany this episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
So getting back to the goings ons here, I actually the other thing, speaking of things I loved just the way they worked this out with the three different councils from last week. So now you have the different little mini tribes or factions, each one coming in from their own respective bloody tribals, and they're reacting either to their own stuff or what happened to the others. I thought it was funny that the bunch that came in, the ones who had voted out Genevieve, there wasn't even a comment by anyone about Genevieve at all, which kind of sadly shows just how far Genevieve has kind of fell from, because we held her in great esteem going into the season. And again, as Brian, as you've been listening, she was just one of those couple players who just got overly focused on that tunnel vision and really kind of screwed up her game. But maybe almost in honor of Genevieve, it's all about Aubrey. And it's all about the whole idea that she was going to play her idol, and she did. I do believe she said that, and then she didn't. And that wouldn't have been so bad. I'm going to ask your guys' opinion on this. But she tries to float the dumbest of dumb lies that she simply forgot to play it, which
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Rick Devens says, do I have stupid written on my face? Christian, when he hears about it from Rick, he has an equally, you got to be fucking kidding me if anyone's going to believe that kind of reaction to it. So right here, I'm gonna put a little pause here once again before I go further. Do you think it really would have hurt Aubrey's game all that much to have simply said once, the truth kind of, once Genevieve played or shot in the dark and it went nowhere, I knew the numbers were on my side, so I didn't see the point of playing it. I know she would still be a target, but therefore, if she did that, wouldn't she simply be in the same category as Ozzy and Rizzo would be? Wouldn't the other players who are all, seasoned to one extent or another, seasoned players, respect her doing that? I just thought that was a dumb thing for her to do. And Aubrey, for someone who's typically in the past, to my recollection, again, you both watched more recently than I have, I always thought of Aubrey as being a pretty smart player, and I don't think she's been playing the smartest game for Aubrey. And I know there's a lot of buzz out there that has Aubrey winning Survivor 50. And look, anything's possible. Maybe that'll happen, but I can't base it on anything I've seen from her at this point. At least that's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott. And Aubrey, as you know, is someone that I really liked coming in. I've liked her previous seasons. I thought she was a really smart person and player and strategic, and I'm really disappointed this season. Like that was just stupid. Like why? Like, oh, I forgot to really? Who's believing that? Like you're talking to Devons. Really? Come on. Like you're better off just like, hey, I wanted to keep it. Like I wanted to hold on to it. People
I
will respect that, even if they're gonna target you.
I thought this episode. I sent a text to a friend of ours, um, that Jamie,
Yeah.
that I said, I can't believe she just said this far into the game in her confessional. She said, "Well, now I'm here with everybody. Gosh, I better start playing." And I'm like, "You're on Survivor 50. You should have been playing the minute you hit the beach, Aubrey. What are you doing?"
Yeah, it's interesting, and I'll bring it up probably a few times during the course of the podcast. Um, I almost feel like I should be keeping a separate list, although maybe that list becomes not for Aubrey yet, but people who've left the game already. People who are much better than what they've shown this season, who are just getting in their own way. They're either being messy or they're losing their focus on what's important as far as survivor play is concerned. And there's people who've left this game a lot faster than we thought they were going to. And they didn't leave because, oh, they're a dangerous target. Because quite frankly, if you're on Survivor 50, most, if not all of you, are dangerous targets. Mm-hmm. But these people left because no, they just got in their own way. Your Charlies, your Genevieves, and so on and so forth. Okay, so let's get back. But D does get there. Oh, by the way, at this point, because I forgot to write a note about it, I'm forgetting if this is that night or the next morning. I don't remember if it was daylight or night. You know what? It doesn't really fucking matter, because where I'm going is the D versus Jonathan battle that begins at this point in the episode. And he's with Coach just lying in the hammock there, and it's all about the lies. How D lies all the time, the Charlie blind side, and our Tiffany here is already rolling her eyes, making sure Coach is suspicious of her, putting her on the spot, and just how well or not does D handle it? Now, even though I suspect someone won't be able to do this, putting personal biases aside, what did we really think? I'm actually excited about this one. What did we really think of this gameplay? Gameplay that left Jonathan kind of gleeful and Dee kind of vengeful. Says she's going to go to war on all these people. I'm going to skip you, Tiffany, this time, because I'm going to let you fester for another minute or two, because I see it. I'm going to expect you to pour you another glass before we get back to you, because, she's well into her wine as usual. But to our usually whiskey drinking friend, but maybe not tonight, Brian, I was going to get your take, because I actually don't know. Oh, although I can suspect it, I don't know your opinions on this matter, so.
I thought the confessional that Jonathan gives after this, giving context to what he did, showed it was good gameplay. Now, setting my personal biases against him aside, did I like it? No, but I don't love Dee, and I didn't love her anyway. But I think the fulcrum and where it really gets bad is that between Jonathan and her is this moron who, gets broken, who somehow this interaction, I mean, in all the seasons of Survivor that we've seen Coach almost break in his own mind, like struggling with things and stuff. But I don't think we've seen anybody break him the way this fight breaks him. And he spends the rest of this episode like in a way that most survivors would not have survived this episode. They would have been voted out. Like the whole camp's looking at him. They're even commenting like, "Oh my God, Coach is broke." And so I think in two ways it helped Jonathan. It elevates Coach as a threat above him, and it puts a target on D. So from gameplay perspective, I thought it was good. And I think later in the episode when we get there, Dee does some things that impressed me, but she did too little too late. Like by the time she blew up and people said, "Here's our chance to take out a winner," I think Jonathan did a good job putting a target on her.
So, my personal bias is against Jonathan.
I know. Move on.
But I must say, yes, that was some pretty good gameplay.
Oh man,
fine.
You're gonna hate the end of this podcast.
Look, I cannot do that.
All right, we're not there yet. Let's not jump ahead right now. We don't know what's gonna happen.
No, but that was really smart. It was brilliant. Dee walked right into it. Again, I'm no D fan, but I prefer her over him. And she just let herself get played. Like,
Right.
she just, let herself get played. And I also I hate that again. Okay, here comes the woman thing or whatever. So when a woman goes off, oh, we're hysterical. Oh, we're this. Oh, look, she's out of, it puts a bigger target on women when they go off, and rightfully so, right, wrong, whatever, it puts a bigger target. A man can go off and, Ozzy can go off, Coach can, and people, oh, whatever, and they will get over it and it will be fine. But a woman goes off, oh, she's hysterical, oh, she's this, oh, blah, blah, blah.
All right. I don't disagree with your how do I put this? Oh my goddamn microphone's humming. You guys can't hear it, but
You don't agree with her premise, but here comes the but. I have a feeling, Tiffany.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it's right behind me, and it's big and lush. Anyway, um, I don't see that being what this is. It's one thing for someone to go off on a rant or something, and yes, there's the traditional or stereotypical thing like, oh, if it's a woman doing it, she's hysterical, and blah, blah, blah. The guy does it, he can get away with that because he's strong and powerful and all that crap, and Ozzy can get away with that. I don't give a fuck about any of that because that's not what this was. There's someone being put on the spot and how well they cover themselves. Just like at a final tribal at the end of the season, it's like how you react to someone saying something to you, and he's pointing this stuff out. And that's what was shocking to me. That's right. I'm going to say shocking to me about this episode and a few moments in previous episodes. I am not a Jonathan fan. I did not care to bring him back. I knew why they were bringing him back, but I wasn't a fan of his. But I think one of the most interesting things about this season, if we're going to be honest and put all of our personal crap aside, and I hate that we have to keep saying that, but I think we can't help it because of who we are. Um, I think one of the most interesting things about this season is that even though he's this physical behemoth, and he's had a few moments like that, I think Jonathan is playing a better, thinking game than anything he ever did in his own season, and a couple times, especially during this episode. And again, I don't like having to say that, but I'm gonna have to say it because, well, look how the episode ended. Anyway, but we're not there yet. But we were talking about Coach because this is the beginning of where the saga of what the fuck is up with Coach begins in true earnest. This is where we start getting the ridiculous fucking haikus. And then he has the declaration about how a liar is not going to win this season.
He's back to season 1.
No. And I was like going, wait, Coach, there were moments earlier this season I was like, oh, I think I kind of like Coach now. And I was like, no, 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 what are you doing? You're degenerating here. I just made up a word. But before we open up any more on Coach, because we're going to have plenty of opportunity in this episode, let's not forget around this time when Ozzy and Rizzo comes back. They return to the fold to find out what happened and how lucky they were to miss 3 tribals. By the way, that would be the best time to be on Exile Island. Because, even though they both had idols, but they probably, would they have, that's an interesting thing. Would they have been targeted? And especially since everyone knew, would people have tried to flush them when you only have tribes of only, I guess it would have been, well, you couldn't have done an even number, so I don't know how they would have done that. Okay, never mind that. Anyway, Coach tries to, I don't know, what's the word? Indoctrinate? Does he knight Rizzo to take Kofi's place in the Four Horsemen Alliance? By the way, one of my favorite unspoken moments in the episode, or half unspoken moment, is during Coach going kind of Looney Tunes here, right? There's that moment when he's talking, I guess he's talking to, or maybe more like he's talking at Joe. Joe's sitting in the hammock, and Joe's just looking up at him with this look in his face like, what the fuck drug are you on, man? Because if there was ever a moment I was like, that might be my favorite Joe moment of all time. I mean, you just looking like, what what have I gotten myself into?
Yeah,
Who am I tied to here?
exactly.
But watch out, because even during all this silliness and fun stuff, there's gameplay afoot. And I don't just mean the reestablishment of Ozzy, Rizzo, and Siri as a powerful trio to be reckoned with, and I do think they are. It's because Anarchy Emily is still here on this. She's like the opposite of the keeper of secrets. She's like the mad bomber of plans. And apparently, we find out that she tells Rizzo that Dee told her about his idol. And this does not sit well with Rizzo because, speaking of secrets, or keeping secrets, he now knows that Dee cannot be trusted. So we get this, and then everything just starts to ripple and explode from this point on because, Anarchy Emily, she lit that fuse. And now suddenly Dee is realizing her gameplay, which, whether we liked her or not, was pretty damn tight on her own season of Survivor. It's gotten a little messy here. And she's wondering if it's become $1 million mistake messy. Okay, so definitely one of the takeaways from this season so far is never confide in Emily. Never,
Yeah.
ever confide in. I don't remember that being the case on her season. It might have been. I just don't remember. But oh my God. If there's a way for Emily to blow up someone's thing, she'll find a way to do it.
But this is what I don't get. I don't understand what she's doing. First of all, who is she loyal to? Does she have any loyalty to anyone? And why, like, she's just doing it just because. Like Cass was her season. Like Cass.
No, no, she's like Chaos Kaz. Is 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 Emily gonna is she one of the middle people? Not clear on that. Is she? Right?
I mean, she
Middle.
is.
Is she? Oh, by the way, I'm never gonna forget the middle people thing. I love that so much.
The middle people is beautiful, and in honor of this discussion, I want to share a limerick that I wrote in honor of Coach Wade, Scott,
Okay, go.
based on his behavior in this episode. There once was a man named Coach Wade whose games were confusingly played. Why, he's silly to me. He makes good TV. But how does this dildo get laid?
See, this is the kind of Survivor podcast where you can get away with Rick's laugh. Beautiful.
I mean, the chaos that erupts from this D thing spirals to the point that the people who've gotten a lot of TV this season are almost out of this episode entirely.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I noticed that.
this sort of brings like this like neglected third.
Mm.
Interestingly enough, the one person who does rise up, and I hate to say it again, and gets a good shine is Rizzo.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah.
he's the
Rizzo,
coach whisperer.
Rizzo has, yeah. Okay. Rizzo might have, even though Siri is a serious challenger for it, but we haven't gotten to it yet. But who cares? Rizzo still might have the best line of the entire episode because you already kind of either intentionally or not sort of referenced it yourself when you used the word moron.
Yes.
But let me see. I have it here. Give me 1 second. Where is it? Rizzo. Give me a second. Bad podcaster, bad podcaster, bad podcaster, bad podcaster, bad podcaster. Where did I put it? I
All
am
right.
so
Well, while you're looking for it, I
yeah.
will say this.
Talk, please.
Rizzo has
Found it.
changed my mind about him.
Yeah. We'll get to it later. But the line is, Coach, this paragon of the game. By the way, aces for much like your use of fulcrum earlier. Paragon of the game is in fact. By the way, talk with a lawyer. It's so good. I'm saying is in fact a moron. Now, you guys probably don't realize this because I have a great affection for certain words, especially words that mean stupid people, whatever, like idiots or whatever. But moron is always by far has been my favorite. I go all the way back to my favorite line from Blazing Saddles when they're talking about he's actually talking about the middle people, not talking about the simple people, whatever. The people that land. They were, morons. Moron is just such a good word, and I hope it's not taken away from us like certain other words have been over the years, because moron needs to stay. Okay, let me. Can't believe I almost went there. Good thing we weren't doing Survivor 4 anyway. 48.
Cannot do that.
I know, but we really wanted to. Anyway, I was going to say something about just with D this episode, and then realizing how many players have made so many blunders this season. We talked about Aubrey, we talked about Genevieve, we talked about Charlie, whatever. And we realized, we covered it in everyone. Let's just get to the fact that another boat arrives. And we learn that one person must leave to return later that afternoon. And they don't draw rocks, they draw each other's. I didn't realize that the shot in the darks were personalized, that people would know. I guess their name is on them somewhere. And it's the it's the gross one that wins. Yeah, we're keeping that going here. She's whisked off to another place. A little challenge has been set up for her. One arm is tethered to a bucket high above her head, while she is balanced on a perch. And when ready, something is triggered that will slowly drain the water from the bucket until a pot, which is hanging from a rope nearby, will plummet to the ground and shatter. If you keep your arm straight up for an entire hour, you will win the advantage. And if you don't, you lose your vote. And then we get a look back at the time when the gross one dislocated her shoulder on Survivor, and they had to pop it back in, and she continued to play. And I remember thinking, oh, that's right. She used to be a real badass back then. But we also find out that incident led to her needing shoulder surgery, which kind of makes it even more impressive that she stuck with it that season, if you think about it. But it also means for this type of challenge, she really can't use that arm, which is her right arm and also her dominant arm. And for someone who's been suffering from tendonitis of the wrist this week, I know what losing your dominant arm or hand is like. And it seriously puts her at a disadvantage. But it doesn't matter. She wins, and the advantage is the steal the vote. Not a bad one. But she's wondering what she's going to tell them when she gets back to camp. So she comes up with a lie. And then, unlike Aubrey, at least her lie's not awful. The whole point, that if you kept your arm, she basically tells him, she outlines the entire challenge, but she says, if you keep your arm up for at least 30 minutes, you'll get to keep your vote, but you need to keep it up for an hour to get the advantage. And she wasn't able to make it for the hour. But and what I think is one of the best, funniest parts of the episode, Siri knows instantly that she's lying. I'm thinking Siri remembers how bad this woman was on Traitors or something, quite frankly.
Can we just stop calling her Siri and start calling her Charlie? She is Charlie Kales from Poker Face. She could call bullshit on every lie that's told. She read her in a second. She knows when people are telling the truth. She knows when they're lying. And I mean, just a look from her, like your mom looking at you disappointed, and Stephanie just wilts immediately.
Oh yeah, when they're at the water. I mean,
she just makes her wilt.
Oh, and then once Siri finds out what that whole situation with the steal vote, she fills in Rizzo, which also, even though I think we already knew this, it really shows that's a real alliance with Siri, like the Rizzo thing with her, and that's and again, right now, I think that's the strongest alliance on the show. Other than, I'd even put it over Rick and Kristen, even though they're my two favorites probably, but that's something to be reckoned with. But then by the way, we get some more talk about D, because she can't keep secrets and so on. It's like, they're seeding this episode. They're seeding it, man. Doesn't matter. It's day 15. Challenge time. Now I get the fun part of describing the stupid challenges that I despise. So you get 2 groups of 7, got to dig up a boulder, roll it through obstacles, collecting a bag of keys that open a gate, where you then roll the boulder to a tall platform. Then you climb over said boulder to the top of the platform, where 2 people complete a big and heavy pieced puzzle. And what's the prize? The prize is Chinese takeout. Now, maybe because they didn't have a specific sponsor, like, PJ Chang's or something, Jeff didn't go into quite as long and succulent sounding a description of the food as he did with the Applebee's crap, whatever. But Jeff does do one thing, which I will admit was kind of funny. When he talks about, and for dessert, traditionally, of course, after Chinese food, brownies. I went, that was funny. Because I kept thinking, oh boy, fortune cookies and orange slices. Yummy, yum, yum.
Yeah.
Maybe little pieces of pineapple with toothpicks in it. Apparently they have a schoolyard pick. Jonathan and Christian were apparently the captains, and I love that because I went, oh, jock versus nerds? Jonathan even looks like that big dude from Revenge of the Nerds, if you think about it.
Ogre.
Yeah,
looks like Ogre.
So Jonathan's team, which is the purple team, he picked Siri, Chrissy, Rizzo, Tiffany, Coach, and Aubrey. Christian went with Ozzy, Devins, Emily, D, Gross, and Joe for the blue team. I got to say, before they even started, I was already thinking Team Blue. That just looked like a better composed team. And the one thing I wish they would show us, that I know for time you can't really do it. Maybe they could do it sped up or something. I always want to see who the last one was picked because I keep thinking, how is it not Siri? Because while I don't tend to, unless something really of great significance happens, I don't tend to talk about the goings ons throughout the challenge unless it's something like, whatever. But I did notice, I was going, wait, is Siri even touching that boulder at all? She's just walking behind them for most part.
It's interesting you bring that up because I'd made a note that I wanted to ask both of you. I do think in a game like this with these players, when it's a schoolyard pick, that reveals a lot of information about at least who those captains think threats are, and it shows where alliances lay. And I think you could gain some information about that if they showed it. Now, maybe it's too early in the game, but I would like at some point to see it because it would identify who are the people you want with you so that you can be immune and who are the people you're identifying as the strongest competitors. And it would give you information at least about who the two captains' thoughts are on that. And certainly Christian's thoughts on that would be very illuminating.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, it's interesting because his team, you definitely see people that he's in line with, like Devins, and the shakiness of Emily is there as well, whatever. But I think this tactically, I mean, getting Ozzy and Joe on your team is smart. Because after Jonathan, they're the two most physical players, and there's going to be a boulder involved, and there's going to be someone who has to jump up over things and do things, whatever. Those are the two you want. So. So I keep thinking, well, the only time Jonathan wasn't smart in this episode is how he picked his fucking team. Because other than maybe, Tiffany, I don't really know if there was anyone worth the name. Coach, please. Anyway, we can fast forward to the end of this pitching where we get puzzle partners, Emily and Christian. They eke out a win over Coach and Chrissy. And then we get a true immunity challenge. And it's one that Dee thinks that she can win, especially because Dee knows damn well she's a target now. This challenge is you bounce on a narrow beam while balancing a ball at the end of a long pole, and it starts to get more difficult as you move down the ever narrowing beam. To her credit, Dee does make it to the final three, but it's between Ozzy and Joe, and Ozzy wins. Ozzy wins his first individual immunity in 15 years. And then we find out some nice little bit of Survivor history. It's his 8th overall immunity win, and he needs one more to tie Boston Rob. Oh, by the way, Tiffany, Brian up here, big Boston Rob fan.
Not at all. Not at all. I'm just he's the most like overrated player in the history of Survivor.
Now, not to be fair, Tiffany, just so because I know you wouldn't realize this, Brian was first introduced to Boston Rob on Traders. So that was his first set. Yeah, you see. And then from that point on, so I always will wonder if Brian had watched Survivor first and then got to, you may very well have the exact same opinion, but I wonder if that colored it to a certain extent. To a certain extent. But I don't think you're actually necessarily wrong. I think he's a little bit overrated, but
He
dude,
is, but he was like
but the dude won 9 immunity challenges, and no one that
I didn't
that's
even
what
realize
I didn't know that, and that's for people like Ozzy, like Malcolm, like all those other physical
Yeah.
players. I mean, I didn't know that, and Ozzy's been on more than he has. But
Yeah. Well,
I
Rob
said what
was
I
a good
said.
physical player,
I know.
like
Yeah, he was, and like I don't think he's a bad player. I just think the Survivor oxygen gets eaten up by him at a rate disproportionate to what his achievements and merit are. I think there are other players that deserve more oxygen than they get, and he takes a lot of it.
I think it's his personality too that he's one of those big personalities, and
Well, yeah, mean, also, even if it wasn't specifically a great season of Survivor by just general Survivor standards, I would always say that's true, but it was probably still one of the more entertaining seasons. That season where he just totally ridiculously dominated, and you had okay, secret agent Phil and
Oh.
coach, but that was you know what that's a season where he just basically just walked right to the win. And you can't really think of that many seasons of Survivor that were so dominated that became all about one player as much as that one. I mean, I'd be hard pressed to think of any other than maybe one of the Tony ones, maybe. Um,
No.
anyway,
Yeah, I mean, well, they put him on a tribe with a bunch of kids that were like fans of his. So,
well,
and Philip.
I'll tell you,
Cult leader.
what coach was on that team too. All right. Anyway, back to the show. It seems like at this point, Dee and Aubrey are the two most cited targets around camp. Then we get some more talk with Tiffany. Not this one, the other one. Which frankly, by the way, there was so much Tiffany talk in this episode that got me thinking. It was at this point in the episode, that's why I put a little note about it. I wrote, "Is Tiffany going to be the one going home tonight? Because we're spending a lot of time with her." And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, this is what you do sometimes when we're gonna be saying bye bye to you.
Hmm.
But I did like, again, I'll give Tiffany credit, at least this one I'll give credit. She does make it clear, you know, that she's not going to throw her game away to save anybody, even if it's either these two players that she's either friends with or aligned with or both, whatever. Although I will point out, spoiler, based on her vote, didn't really pan out that way. Um, but she's also a little surprised that everyone wants to target D because she thinks you should keep her around as that the meat shield thing because, she's a winner. I have a problem with that logic because that's true, but you also have to realize D is someone, in my opinion, she could reel off a bunch of individual immunity wins and keep herself in the game even when you do want to get rid of her. So, quite frankly, why not take her out now instead of later? That's the way I looked at it. I don't know if you guys feel any differently about it. I know none of us are big D fans, but I know there's other players you guys would have liked to have left sooner than her. But I just we've talked about this before, and I think Brian, I feel like maybe you and I might have had a personal conversation about this before. So I'm curious about how you guys feel about this. Um, the whole meat shield concept, which has been brought up a few times in this season, and we've heard it before on both this Survivor. I think it might have been brought up on Australian Survivor as well, whatever. Um, I the more I think about it, I mean, I feel there's a fallacy to it more often than not. I just, for every time you think it works, I think there's too many other times it doesn't. Is this a form of gameplay that players really should not be, relying on?
No, I think they can, but I think a meat shield is Joe. Joe is not going to win this game.
Yeah.
Like, he has so few connections, but he doesn't really offend anybody. He keeps quiet. He's not offensive. But like, this group of players is not going to respect his game and give him a win.
Yeah.
But if you can be in an alliance with him, he's got a real good shot as this narrows down to be your horse to the final three. Now, the thing about D's a really good player and really dangerous player. And if she sees you catching the wind at your back, she'll take you, and but she can reel off individual immunities and then cut you when she sees you're a threat to her. Joe will play the loyalty game. I think the idea of a meat shield is Joe and not D. So yes, Tiffany seeing D as her meat shield, I think was wrong. And this was probably a better move for Tiffany in the long run if she can find her footing in the next episode.
Right.
So I agree with you, Brian. Like, Joe's definitely a meat shield, not D. But my issue, or my where I see it's going to be problematic for Tiffany, she's not really making a lot of connections. I think that's the whole, like, she had D, she had Camilla, she has Aubrey. you
Yeah,
know,
and Aubrey is not doing a great job of that herself.
yeah,
I
I
mean,
don't know, unless she can connect with Siri and kind of get herself in with like Siri and Rizzo and Ozzy, I don't know where she goes.
I think it would be fascinating if Tiffany could team up with Christian and Devins, and they could get Aubrey and Emily's shit straightened out, and those 5 could go against sort of the jocks. It could be like, the gamers and the nerds versus the jocks. Because I think the Jonathan Coach Ozzy thing will explode. Ozzy and Coach will go to war again eventually. That's going to happen.
Absolutely.
And if they could survive, they could come out with numbers. That's what I would hope for Tiffany, is to bond with Christian and Rick.
So what you're advocating then, you are pushing for the rise of the middle people.
Yes, yes. You can call me Tolkien.
Okie doke. So Aubrey. Oh, do you want to say one other thing, Tiffany? Or
No, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got time. You got one. So Aubrey is continuing to wonder why her idol makes her more of a target than either Ozzy or Rizzo have been. And she's pretty much told point blank, it might have been even by Coach, actually. He'll get credit for like one thing in the whole episode. Yeah, it's because you said you were going to play it and you didn't. I love them. Oh, but talk about gold star moments, and she has a few of them in this episode. She might be the funniest person this episode. I love the moment when Aubrey's talking to Siri about this. And Siri, again, who's been pulling off good looks and funny lines this episode, totally tongue-in-cheek to the, well, don't forget to play the idol this time. She's just looking at her, trying not to crack. They're both laughing. Because it's clear the only way Aubrey can get the target off her back is to get rid of the idol. Once she gets rid of the idol, she hasn't done anything that's going to make anyone go, oh, we need to get rid of her. She might look like right now, the way she's been playing, she looks like she could just get away with being a number, even though we know there's much more going on, but she has the potential to be something more than that. That's the way I looked at it. So then we have Jonathan, Chrissy, and Coach talking. Hey, social media minions, it's the Zoom Alliance. Oh, we're not supposed to talk about that. Anyway, they're talking about voting out D. But then there's a risk that comes if she successfully plays her shot in the dark. Now, the talk had been about Aubrey, but Jonathan points out it's dumb to waste votes on Aubrey if she's definitely playing the idol. Uh-oh, another check mark for Jonathan this episode. So they should target someone else. And that person turns out to be this player named Tiffany. So, again, I hate it because it's him, but I think it's so smart to go, we know she's playing it this time. Because she seems like she has to she just wants to get rid of it. It's like the monkey's paw kind of thing. It's her. She just wants to get rid of it. And it's smart for someone like, why are we going to waste our votes on her? She's definitely going to play it. You can let her think that, just so like, well, we're going to try to flush that thing out, even if it's just for a vote or two.
Can I say something so
Sure.
stupid that I thought when this happened? I thought when Jonathan said that, I said to myself, oh my God, the way Rizzo played last season might work because they've not seen him play. like going to multiple troubles and then thinking you're going to play it and they don't. Like, I was like, Jonathan, Rizzo would have got you. Like, that's the way he played. And you're saying the same thing about Aubrey.
That was what was so funny. And I was looking for a spot to mention it. And I'm glad you did. The whole worry about people getting upset that you said you're going to play your idol. You have this idol and you don't. And I keep going, somebody's here that you guys haven't seen played. He spent the entire season doing that, whatever, and he fucking made it too. I mean, he didn't win, but he came damn close.
But I don't think that will work with this cast. I think he may get away with it once or twice.
Oh no, of course not.
Yeah,
but it's just funny.
It would have worked this time though. That's what's crazy.
Oh, it would have absolutely worked this time.
Oh man.
But do we think it was the right call? I think when Aubrey lied, I think it was the right call.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I just hate that it was Jonathan.
Right, yeah, get over it.
I'm with you, Tiffany.
Get over yourselves. Got to put your biases to the side. Be like me. Bet you love that voice. Anyway, so Coach continues his path of bizarro self-destruction because he feels the need to control and corral all these votes because they do the math because they realize there is going to be a record-breaking 14 people going to tribal council. So the vote split he's aiming for is 7 on D, 4 on Tiffany, and then it won't matter where the other 3 votes go. But there are issues and more issues because some people don't want to be the ones to vote for Tiffany. And then I guess the reasoning being they have to deal with the repercussions if D is the one who sent packing and, Tiffany come yelling at them when they come back or something. I kept thinking, wow, when did they put all these pussies on Survivor? I don't remember that. And then beyond that, shock of shocks, all these big time players don't really like someone else calling the shots and telling them how to vote. Hello? How is Coach so goddamn stupid not to realize what's happening here?
And how does he say, don't tell the middle people with Rick Devens sitting there?
Oh my God. It's the most ridiculous thing. He goes about don't tell Christian because he's dangerous and he's flippy floppy. And he's saying it in front of Devens. I'm sorry. No, you haven't gotten the memo that those 2 guys are buddies, or just by the way they play or way they talk, you should realize that. Oh, so, and then, oh, by the way, I love that, because Rick has his reaction to it, and apparently he immediately tells Christian, because, hello. And then you have the one brief Christian confessional thing here where he mentions maybe someone like himself gave Coach a wedgie in high school. And I mean, you see, they're doing Revenge of the Nerds again. They're freaking out. Even though, wait, a nerd gave, I don't, because he was a hippie, so that they're even worse than the nerds. But here, Coach finds out that Christian heard about it, and Coach goes big time ballistic. If we thought he was bad earlier in the episode, now he's Coach on both cocaine and steroids. Even his haikus are getting worse. Devens is summing it up really nicely throughout all this. He's talking about how they're needlessly making a simple plan complicated, and he points out this is Survivor 50. No one came here to be somebody's lackey. I thought that was one of the great quotes of the episode, period, because, yeah, this isn't, I mean, I wouldn't even say that, but just a regular all-star season. If you're a returning player, you didn't come back to just be, someone's side piece, so to speak. Wow. Shout out to Amber. But anyway, but here's where we get to the player that I think maybe all 3 of us have had the most change of heart about this season. Gotta go to Rizzo. Because to his credit, he tries to rein Coach in. He's the one who points out that, saying shit about the middle people, again, the new negative that I love. He points out that you said it in front of Devens. He's one of those middle people. He's about as middle a person of people, whatever you're ever going to get. But I love this because Rizzo's doing this. It's not because he gives a damn about Coach. He just wants to preserve the vote because he wants to get rid of D. And, if Coach keeps going the way he's going, it's going to mess up all the plans because this is the one shot they had to get rid of her. I mean, this was kind of one of those nice moments I thought on the episode. I know we've already spoken about it a bit, but this was kind of one of Rizzo's kind of like, okay, that's because you're playing a very smart social and strategy game at the same time here. And Jesus Christ, dealing with this wacko. Was it around here where he says the moron line, I think?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Has the great confessional sitting on the rock with the ocean behind him. And what's impressed me about Rizzo is there, if you divide the eras into the old era and the new era, he is playing an old era game with the old era people that want to play that way, and he's playing the new era game in his way. He's modified the 2, and he's playing both games in a way that surprised me. And I think what's really positioned Siri and Ozzy and him strongly is he also was smart enough when, Coach is like, I'm going to bring you into the Four Horsemen. That Rizzo, what Rizzo wasn't like, Rizzo's like, hell yeah, coach. He's now got intel about how three other people are going to vote, and he's got him and Siri and Ozzy. He's positioned to now have information over how half the tribe's going to vote at any given time, and he'll just go do Siri's bidding. And I mean, they're in a great position because of him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I like the kid.
Yeah,
I
and
like the kid.
what's worked to his advantage right now, I feel if you were going to get rid of a player like Rizzo, mainly because you don't know his game because you didn't see his season, I think that time has come and gone. I think it would have
Yeah.
happened much earlier. At this point, it doesn't. He's been in the game enough that people already have their impressions of him.
Mhm.
And that's one thing. He's clearly playing a pretty good damn social game because I'm not getting the impression anyone. The last time anyone said anything negative about him was Colby at the very beginning, and then Colby did a change of heart about it.
Yeah.
You know, that makes us Colby now, Tiffany.
And
Anyway,
he listened to Colby.
he did.
He was humble and smart enough to go, holy crap, these people don't like what I'm doing. I need to change.
Mhm. He's a smart kid. Like I didn't realize how smart he actually is in his season because he was playing up that Riz God, and that was really annoying to me.
Well,
But
and also right, but in this to that point, you gotta love the fact. Another thing he says in this episode, he mocks the fact that he does that. He's very well aware of how ridiculous him saying Riz God and stuff is, but he's just playing it up. But that's the one thing I don't take him doing that as seriously as like the stupidity with Coach and what he does and that kind of a thing.
oh yeah,
Because he's clearly doing it tongue in cheek and having fun. He's
yeah,
just
absolutely. But that would get annoying after a while.
Oh yeah, but
But I think
if Siri can accept it, then I think we can.
But
well, I think
what he did that's so smart is he has now cordoned off Riz God to the confessionals. Like
Yes.
that's where he's Riz God.
That's
He's
right.
like Clark Kent and Superman, and he's Clark Kent with the people on the tribe, and he's Superman in the confessionals. And he's turned the Riz God way down when he's with the rest of the tribe, which is great TV for the confessionals and really smart gameplay for the rest.
absolutely. He took
That's head on
the
right.
advice. Like he heard it, he realized, oh, okay, whatever. Shows how smart he is. He's adaptable, you know?
So before we even get to the trouble, there's still just one more little thing here. We have this moment of probably two of the most unlikely players to be hanging out next to each other. Got Jonathan and Emily sitting there hanging out, and they're watching off to the side, watching Coach. And they're talking about Coach. They're saying he's talking to himself. He's like, but he's moving, and they keep showing Coach, whatever. And I'm going, is he talking to himself? He's doing it to a cameraman who's clearly sitting right in front of him. So he's not really. I mean, look, Coach is a lunatic, and I love them making fun of him, especially these two. You couldn't get more opposite players ever in the history of Survivor hanging out together, and both kind of, to a certain extent, mocking Coach, whatever. But he's doing it to he's literally playing to the camera. So he's not talking to himself. Stop that. We're not that dumb. We know what a camera is. Morons.
But can we give kudos to production here? Production has taken some hits, but when they show the Coach montage of like the back stuff, and we get the eagle screech back from his days where he's talking and the eagle goes, hey.
That's right. That's right.
It made me laugh so hard.
Oh my Lord. But I gotta say during all this, and you have a little bit with Emily talking how she would love to get rid of Coach. And in a way, it seems like she starts to get that ball rolling. I also thought this specific episode and it kind of goes to what you were just saying, what we've been saying throughout the episode. It's very emblematic of how Coach can be a great character, but a terrible player on Survivor. And it really applies to, this episode, among others, this season. And that's when you see, like, Dee is making plans. She's scheming how she's going to shake things up at Tribal. She tells Tiff to not be alarmed when she starts getting up to whisper things to people. So now I'm already looking forward to it because I love when they start whispering shit to people. I always want to go back and you two were lucky enough to see it because I don't remember which season it first happened. And I always like to think of the very first time it happened, and if production or Joe was like, oh, I guess we can do that. Because up to that point, I never thought you were allowed to do stuff like that. I remember I can't remember what season. I remember I was like, wait, they can get up and whisper things to each other, and then all of a sudden it became a thing. And then was it? I don't. Was it U.S. or Australian Survivor when it just went off it just went off the rails like everyone was doing it, or was it both freaking shows?
Well, it certainly happened on Australian, but I think it was US. I think it was it the season with I feel like Wendell was in that season. I could
I don't know.
I don't know if it was his first or the second time he came back.
It was Caramoan. It's when Malcolm played two idols. I just looked it up.
Oh, yes.
That was the first one.
Okay.
Because Malcolm blew up the plan and they had to come up with a new plan on the spot. And so the tribal went live.
Mm-hmm.
But I love it. And while it happens here, it's far more frequent in Australia now. Like the games play in Australia Survivor, it happens a lot. But I love it, and I love that Dee went out swinging and tried her best to make moves, and at least people started whispering and talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But it was it was
so we have tribal, and we get Joe's firehouse hierarchy metaphor, which I had no problem with, fine with it. And then it just starts getting weirdly twisted. Like, Siri starts talking about one way, and then and then Joe's going to go like, you know what? I will never make another firehouse ever again. And I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. There's people who yap all the time here about bullshit. By the way, before we get into all the Jonathan D stuff yet again, by the way, I have to say, when the season started, not on my bingo card, that the most heated and fascinating arguing combatants of the season would be Jonathan and Dee. That was not what I thought was going to happen here. I mean, we've had a lot of interesting this one versus that one throughout the season, but this is not the one I kind of foresaw, and I wouldn't have foresaw the result of it either. By the way, do you know Christian didn't speak during the entire tribal? And I cannot think of any other tribal that he didn't speak during. That was weird. I mean, he looked, I don't know maybe it was edited out, maybe he was out of it, maybe he's tired, but to not go to him at all, I thought was strange. I mean, there's like maybe two or three people who didn't speak, but Aubrey didn't technically speak, but she did speak because she reacted to being told about to vote for coach or whatever. So she didn't, and plus she played her idol, so she did speak. Okay. Speaking of idol, she plays the idol. Dee plays the shot in the dark. Nope, not safe. Would have been interesting if she had been. But well, what would have happened actually?
Yeah.
Because
I would not have been happy.
Did you notice? Because you can notice these things. You notice that production chose not to show us anyone voting for Dee. I thought that was very strange, and I went going, are they screwing with us? At least because we know she's one of the. You're not going to show me one person voting for her. You're not going to show me Coach voting for her, someone, because it wasn't him anyway. So, but then we find out that nope, she got votes, and she didn't just get 7 votes. I'm pretty sure she got 9 votes, if I'm not mistaken. Winner, go home. And she does say, "Damn, this is what it feels." She hasn't experienced what it's like to be voted on.
Which is kind of like the most backhanded F you to the rest of them. Oh, you got me. This is what it feels like. Like I want to say this because I wasn't here last week.
Okay, that's still lost some money anyway.
Blood Moon for me failed dramatically, and this episode proved with this tribal council we didn't need to split them in to the merge to have 3 tribals. We could have had them all there and just said vote 1, vote 2, vote 3, and it would have been fine. It would have been great. They handled it. It was an excellent episode, and I think the way that production handled this proves they could have handled last week better, and it would have been fairer to be voted out by 17 people instead of 5.
Right.
Yeah.
And you could have even maintained. I have no problem with Ozzy and Rizzo not being able to be a
Not
part
being
of it.
there.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But you did not need to do the 3-5 because it just we talked about it, and you're
It's
absolutely
just
right.
unfair.
I thought it
Yeah.
really people, especially people who didn't maybe even though one can blame part of her issue, Genevieve's issues, on her own gameplay, but she kind of got screwed over a bit too. The whole nature, the only idols that people are fighting are boomerang idols. You find an idol that you have to give to somebody else. So you don't get to actually play one yourself. You don't actually have any respected ability in attaining an idol because are you being given an idol because we think you're going to get voted out with it? So are they saying that you're dumb? What's the point of that? I agree. My only thing about that, I was intrigued if you did it with 15 people, would you have all three be part of the same vote, or would you just vote three times in a row?
I think you vote 3 times. I think you vote once, and then you say, and there's like after that one, like now you're going to vote the next one, and
Okay.
no talking. Like just go
Yeah.
vote. Like we're
Oh,
gonna have a
that's
tribal. We're gonna have a tribal, and at the end of it, we're gonna do 1 vote, 2 votes, 3 votes, and after the end of the first vote, no talking. At the end of the second vote, no talking.
interesting.
That would be fascinating.
That would have been fascinating.
But anyway, sorry, I just wanted to get that on the
No,
record.
no,
I
it's
kind
fine.
of feel like they should talk though. I feel like okay, you vote. I feel like they should have a few minutes to talk.
Maybe give him a minute. I gotta get egg timer.
Like something. You got to give a little,
Get a little thing, and then they bring out that
a little
stupid
razzle
person
dazzle.
who won, who shouldn't have won, and have her break the no, time's up. Crash. Tri- Tribute to tribute to one of the worst winners of all time.
The
Sorry, Pete.
hourglass.
But I want to think, why are they all so freaked out about that shot in the dark this year? Like, why is that? Oh, the shot in the dark. Like, how often? Like, it does not
Because
really.
they all think someone's gonna. They all think someone's gonna fucking hit it, and then they'll screw. And then
I mean,
they'll
it's
screw up on their
possible,
puns.
but it's so unlikely. Like, how many times has that really actually been a thing? Like once,
Twice.
twice?
I thought you said twice.
I thought Christian early in the season when he said he was giving his to Ozzy really laid out like the odds are so low for this hitting. The odds of me improving my position are much better by getting rid of it. But
Yeah.
like the fear, I totally agree with you. The fear of it not to mention the person playing it loses their vote,
Yeah.
but also swings the vote in your favor.
Right.
Like in a way, it's almost preferable because you have to wrangle one less vote.
Yeah, like it kind of like I hate this whole we got to split the vote thing. Like stop it. Like to me that's such a pussy way out. Excuse my language.
My
You
God.
know.
No,
You're,
that you know what, Tiffany, Tiffany,
you're,
that is awesome.
you're,
I'm here for it.
you're off the
Yeah,
cuff.
I hate that pussy shit. Like vote on the name, whatever. If it doesn't, oh well, shit. Now we got to vote again. We'll figure that shit out. But like that whole, well, let's split the vote this way and I hate that split the vote shit so much. I hate it. Like I just think it's such a pussy
I know.
way.
I don't disagree. I think it also. I think also it really depends on what the number of people in the group dynamic is. If are we talking about a vote where everyone's clearly going after one person, or is there still possible factions which then change the
Mm.
math? I absolutely agree that they make too much of it, but depending on the situation, you may be behooved to toss a vote towards one other person. It really depends if that person had an alliance of any kind or not. Like this one, like the one vote, like there's only Coach got that one vote from Tiffany. That didn't work. But
Worked for me.
yeah, I know.
I
No,
mean,
I would. Hey, I by the end of this episode, I would have been perfectly fine if they turned the tables and gotten rid of Coach. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Although this part of me was like, but wait, there's still potentially more stupid, crazy stuff. I kind of want some more. because, because here's what's going to happen. He got away with all that in this episode and he's still there. Oh no, now he's gonna feel like he's been emboldened. He's gonna be even worse as the
he
season
is.
goes on. And then because and you guys pointed it out already, at some point this is gonna become the Ozzy versus Coach thing. And I'm kind of here for it because I know we're not supposed to, Tiffany, but I'm still not really minding Ozzy this season. He hasn't pissed me off yet, so
I'm not minding Ozzy either.
don't
Like, there
love
are a lot
him,
of people
but I don't
that I'm not
mind him.
minding.
I'm higher on Ozzy than you guys, and when he won I mean, I got a little touched when he won the challenge. Like
Yeah,
I thought, you know what, good for you. Like you won one. Like if nothing else, he can leave and say I still went out and did what I used to be good at. I won a challenge.
yeah, I'll say that.
Yeah.
So here we go. So we're up to that part of the program. And we can still talk about the rest of the show as well. But we're up to the part of the program where we talk about what I refer to as the torchbearer of the game. So I got a feeling we're going to be picking someone that we might not necessarily love or even like, but still might deserve it for how they impacted the overall episode. So let's pair it now to the possible choices. You got D, because just because you lose doesn't mean you don't get to earn the title. You got Coach, because just because you cray doesn't keep that torch out of your hand. Now, I personally am not inclined to pick any of the quote unquote individual winners this week, like the aforementioned Ozzy or the gross one from earlier in the episode. Siri was really funny. No. Devins is really funny. No. Christian, this is almost the least Christian episode, and that really didn't sound right when I said that I've ever seen. It's the Jews. Anyway,
That's why you liked it. It was
that's
the
right.
least Christian episode.
You got it. Oh, you got me. Oh boy, they're coming out the door, and Frank's next door. Leave me alone. Um, I'm kind of tempted to say Rizzo, just for the coach. The paragon of the game is in fact a moron. But
And
laws,
and don't forget, Rizzo also helped spread the D is not trustworthy thing around to help convince the votes. And he was convincing, whereas Coach was pissing people off.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and maybe you guys are going to convince me otherwise then, because lousy, Lou. I'm kind of thinking I'm leaning towards the big guy. I'm kind of leaning towards Jonathan.
I know you.
And I hate that I am. And it's got nothing to do with him being a physical player or being crazy or this is crazier than a Coach Haiku right here that I would be picking Jonathan.
Well,
But I'm open to be convinced, and Rizzo would be the one I'm really if I'm gonna go somewhere else, I'm gonna go with I'll go with Rizzo because I liked his overall gameplay. I loved his confessionals. I loved him because him both spreading the word about D and also at least for a period of time getting Coach to calm down, because the further Coach went on like that, the more likely people are going like, yeah, you know what, let's get rid of him.
well, and allow me to make 2 points.
Sure. Go
and
for
then I'm sure Tiffany has points to make as well.
it. I know.
Because we're standing for Rizzo here for this vote. Okay, point one: Jonathan picked not a great team and ended up not being eligible to fight for immunity, and that was on him. His schoolyard pick team lost. Number two, Jonathan didn't really step in and keep Coach from almost blowing up his plan. Rizzo did. Jonathan sat there with Emily and watched Coach self-immolating and made commentary about it. Rizzo was the one that said, yes, Coach is a moron, but I want this vote to go through, so I'm going to chill him out so we can achieve my objective. Rizzo did more to achieve Jonathan's objective. Jonathan got the ball rolling. He blew D up and got this to happen. Rizzo's the one that got it across the goal line. That's my argument for Rizzo.
Absolutely. I wasn't even thinking about the schoolyard pick. That's a great point or whatever. But that second point, yeah, it was all Rizzo. It was Rizzo teaming with Siri and Ozzy to get it out there. It was Rizzo, she's blown up. Whatever. It was Rizzo. Jonathan did nothing. He made her blow up in that moment, but they could have easily said, okay, we're going to all vote Coach because he's acting like an idiot.
Right,
He's doing this. But that was Rizzo that kept the ball on D, period.
Okay. I'm convinced it's Rizzo. Rizzo gets to have the torch.
Tiffany, virtual high five.
I didn't want to give it that big doofus anyway, so good.
Easiest convincing ever, right?
Well, here's all you needed to do. It was like, Scott, you know where Rizzo's from, right? Like, oh yeah.
That is true.
New York City in how? Anyway. Um, so yeah, and it's funny because Brian bringing up last week's episode because obviously he wasn't here, and that was a much talked about and highly promoted episode, and I think more people were annoyed or disappointed by it than were psyched by it. Especially, I mean, I don't read too much of what other people say about Survivor, but every once in a while I do go on social media and I see like the standbys, like what's her name, like Shannon Gus, who does all the Survivor stuff, usually for Australia, but and she hated it, and she's usually very positive about. She's like a very positive person when it comes to Survivor, but she got posting thing after thing, and I was reading like I was like, yep. 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 I was like, man, I have to agree with everything she said. I mean, I expressed my issues with it last week, so I was, I'm not Johnny come lately to that party, whatever. But yeah, this episode showed you, you could have 20 people that you know what? You could start the fucking show. You know what? Means we don't even need tribes anymore. Just have more, 24 people could.
Well, I think you're right, and I think the only thing that saved it from being a debacle was Colby getting the ending that he deserved and the celebration of him after it was over. That you sort of got to see the warrior go out on his shield, and ending on that note, I think saved that episode from
Yeah.
really catching even more hell.
Yeah.
Right. We had talked about when you had that in that specific tribal, the fact I mean, obviously they arranged the seating, so you have, the coach, Siri, Colby there, and I remember saying last week, like, okay, outside of Ozzy, who's not part of this little, not here, these are the biggest icons in this that they brought back this season. And it's and they all begin with the letter C, which means nothing. But I don't remember who it was who said this. They it was like a kind of not a conspiracy theory, but a funny theory. It's like, hey, I wonder if they're trying out Colby to eventually take the place of, of Jeff on the show, kind of like they did with the other show where they brought in a former Australian player,
David Janae.
David took JLP's place, and I went, I don't think that's what they're doing, but I don't know if I'd mind it that much. I'd rather they just hire JLP to do it, but that's just me. And everyone else who likes Australian Survivor. But I thought in a lot of ways, at least for entertainment value, it was a good episode, because we can dislike or be annoyed by characters, but I kind of enjoy being annoyed to some extent. And Coach's routine, where it's just like he Coach right now is become one of the cringiest players I've seen since. Well, let's go back to the woman who cried about not going to Applebee's.
Oh God.
I'm pissed. Liz.
Liz.
Eater.
Oh my
You
God.
know what I called Coach in this episode? Coach went full Michael Scott in this episode. He was like the bumbling moron trying to execute his vision and like being cringe AF and just driving everybody nuts. He was Michael Scott.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's so bad.
Like,
But I have to say, I'm kind of getting excited to see where they go from episode to episode now. Because after this, like, okay, now Dee's out. Oh, by the way, I don't think I got to say it on this podcast, but I said it on every episode. I'm happy because I don't like winners being in the show. So yay, no more winners. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Goodbye. Unless it's winners at war, no winners on Scott's All Star Survivor shows. None of that shit. No, whatever. That's why Tony is the only true two-time winner on the show, as far as I'm concerned. Fuck you, Sandra. Don't care about you. He did it against all winners.
yeah.
Anyway, plus I don't like Sandra either. I feel about Sandra probably the way he feels about Boston Rob. And by the way, she was even worse on Traders than Boston Rob. So take that, Sandra.
Wait, Sandra was on Traders?
Yeah, and she was awful.
I didn't even remember her.
Siri has been the one like truly redeeming player on it, and to a lesser extent, Tattoo Girl.
Oh yeah, Carolyn.
Carolyn, but Carolyn kind of screwed herself up a little bit there.
Yeah, Carolyn.
But I mean, like Siri, can we just recognize the greatness of this queen? That like no votes.
Yeah,
Like
still.
she is just rolling right through, not catching hell. Nobody's like, Siri will win, and all the people that said that earlier this season, they're all gone.
People,
They're
anyone who
Well, except
mentioned
for Jonathan.
Wait,
Jonathan is still in there. He was with G, like, oh, we got to get Siri out.
yeah,
I think he's still, but
but is
yeah,
Jonathan going to corral votes the way those other people might have? I don't know.
no. The fact that Siri's still in this and she's so prominent is crazy.
And
crazy.
she's at the core of a really key alliance that has like idols and advantages all around her. She fucking has her own little advantage. She was just given because we like you, and you know, it's amazing. People are,
It's
and I love
amazing.
that everyone's and people are confiding in her left and right.
Oh,
You know, the only people who aren't, just on the Siri train totally just telling her everything are probably like Rick and Christian. And I think Rick's probably talked to her too, because like if only that could have been the alliance, because then I'd be so happy. Anyway, hopefully next
I
week
don't know what Siri does to these people where they're like under
it's
her.
it's like they're all suddenly become players from Finland or something. Inside joke for the people who watched anyway. Well, everyone's gonna get, all right. So I guess we're finished with this episode. Let me start wrapping things up a little bit here.
Okay.
And you can still talk after. I'll just, but I'll just mute you. Anyway, so at least two, if not three of us, will be back next week to talk about the next episode of Survivor. Hopefully it'll be as good, if not better than this one. At some point in the very near future, I haven't spoken to him about it, but he is here right now. Me and Brian and I, not me and Brian. Brian and I will be covering the next two episodes that we were scheduled to do about the Twilight Zone. Just been busy. And yes, I am very aware that The Boys came back this week. I'm talking about the show on, yep, yesterday it debuted the first two episodes of their final 8-episode season, I believe it's going to be. I think it's always 8 episodes. I have to get in touch with Jamie to figure out how the heck we're going to do that. I fear that we are not going to be able to do an episode by episode podcast for The Boys this season. I think between me doing Survivor, and her obligations to she covers the Australian Survivor for her Italian the Boats podcast, as well as appearing on the other Survivor podcast, which is usually done the same night. So I don't think that has as much of an impact. But plus, if you're doing Australian Survivor, that means you have to watch like 3 hours worth of stuff every week. So
the good news is it ends this coming week. Right. So
I'll talk to her, because also then I can't do it on Mondays and Tuesdays because of certain obligations. So just because when can we do it, and then whatever. But we will. I suspect if we're not going to do it episode by episode, which would have been the preferable way to do it, we might just cover a bunch of episodes at once and then do another one just before the final episode. That way we could do our kind of what we foresee possibly happening in the final episode and then do the final episode. So maybe 2, maybe 3 podcasts, but maybe not right away. Plus they came up with 2 right off the bat anyway. So maybe we'll do like the first 4, then the next 3, and then the last one. I need to talk to her. We got to get her out of her tornado basement there and figure out what we're going to do. Yeah, I have nothing else to say about our podcast, so let me talk about the 2 people who joined me tonight. I am so thrilled that I got to have you both here. You're 2 people who have been part of my life in very, very different ways over the years. Tiffany, I've known you for 30-something years, I think, or something like that. And Brian, it only feels like that. Oh, 25. Oh, that's right, because we're not even in our 30s yet, because we're like Muppet babies, Anyway, so Tiffany, thank you so much for being here tonight. Did you mention what wine you were drinking I know you told me and Brian before we started recording. Did you say it on the podcast?
I did not. Today is my daughter's 18th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, and she chose not to spend it with us.
She's a smart kid.
As the father of a 20-year-old who very often he's like my house cat. He only appears when he wants to be, loved on or fed. I can understand that entirely.
Yeah, and this is like she's a senior in high school. She got a full tuition scholarship to SI UE, Southern Illinois University, Edwardsville. So excited about that. We still have to pay room and board, but you know, tuition's covered. So we have all this going on, and then as Scott knows, here in the Midwest apparently, and it's starting. I'm from New York. I'm a Brooklyn girl.
You don't say.
Been living here for like the past 20, 21 years. And apparently the skin folk here do this big prom send off, which I was not familiar with before I moved here. And now I have a senior in high school who is going on prom, and we have to throw this big party, which I call my party
Of
because
course.
I got a mobile bartender because I need my drinks. And we've got family and friends coming in, so it's this big to do on May 2nd that I've been laser focused on, that I forgot that this was a milestone birthday for her. So,
Jeez.
yeah, not my finest parenting moment, but I tried to make it up, and then she turned around and like said, "Yeah, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends." So, got a cake in her freezer, and when she's ready to cut it, I guess we'll cut it. Yeah.
Oh. Well, what day of the week is the May 2nd thing? Is that on a weekend or something?
It's on a Saturday.
Okay. So it's not going to interfere with the Survivor stuff. That's all I care about.
Scott's like, does that impact the podcast?
It does not impact the podcast
They were fine.
at all.
Anyway, Brian, I'm glad to have you here as well. It's been a hot minute since we recorded together, so always fun when you're around, and fun actually getting to talk about a reality show with you, and without certain other needless buffers about is kind of a nice thing as well. Can't imagine what I'm talking about.
Good stuff. It's good stuff, and I have to say I've enjoyed listening to the two of you, and it was really really enjoyable to get to meet Tiffany and get to converse with her. So I really enjoyed this a lot, and I appreciate the invitation.
Awesome. Well,
Come back. Don't leave me here with Scott alone.
Boy, if I had a nickel for every time I heard that.
If you had a nickel, I wouldn't have half the problems if I had a nickel for it. Anywho, I said anywho, thank you, listeners, for checking us out once again. You know what? As a thank you present, we began this podcast roughly with Brian delivering a lovely haiku. I think we should end it with a stupid haiku. The way Coach wouldn't have wanted it. We watched Survivor. Coach nuts. Big guy, not so dumb. But haikus are. Bleh. Good night, everybody.
Good night.